Put down those cheese and crackers and let's get cooking. This is Just the Plate. Hey everyone, this is Cappy and you're listening to Just the Plate, a production of Beyond the Plate. Just the Plate is a short segment where chefs describe a dish or a recipe that is meaningful to them. Last week you heard from Chef Alex Guarnaschelli. Alex is a recurring judge on several Food Network shows such as Chopped. She's a chef of Butter Restaurant in New York City. She has worked in Michelin-starred restaurants in Paris and for some of the best chefs in this country, and she is a cookbook author. If you missed last week's episode with Alex, please be sure to check that out. But for now, we're talking chocolate pudding. If anyone could make pudding hip and cool, it's Alex. She says, I'm going to bring back pudding and make it chic again. Farm-to-table pudding. With that, I'll stop talking. This is Just the Plate.
My name is Alex Guarnaschelli. I'm the chef at Butter Restaurant in New York City. I'm also mother to a very discerning 10-year-old, and I am the daughter of an even more discerning cookbook editor who stands by me at the stove no matter what I do. So that's a tough crowd. One thing my mother would make a lot when I was growing up that has a huge taste memory for me is just chocolate pudding. And of course, I didn't have the kind of mom who would buy junky cereals that are so delicious or instant pudding mix. We had to make everything from scratch. So for this recipe, she would make it in a double boiler. I will admit that I kind of cheat with that part. I just use a large, heavy bottom saucepan. And the first thing I do is put a touch of water in the bottom of the saucepan, milk or cream, because it easily scorches and forms that skin inside of the pan. You can avoid doing that by just wetting the bottom of your pan first, one of life's great tips, and saves you 10 minutes of scrubbing a milk skin off the bottom of your pan. So in a large saucepan, I simply add 2 1/4 cups of milk, whole milk, with 1/2 cup of regular sugar. I stir it and I bring it to a boil over medium heat. So while that is coming up to a nice little simmer, I whisk together 1 egg, a large egg, and 2 egg yolks. Just whisk that together. I add in 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and I just whisk and whisk and whisk until that's smooth. And that's going to take a little bit of elbow grease, but it's good to work for your dessert. Then I whisk in 2 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder, and my mom would use that super dark, loaded with antioxidants, healthy with people backpacking on a mountain on the cover of the box type of cocoa powder, with a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Just whisk, whisk, whisk until that's smooth. Then pour a little bit of that simmered milk and sugar mix over your egg cornstarch mix in the bowl and whisk. And then pour the whole mixture back into the pot with the milk and start stirring. Lower the heat a little bit. You want it to be between low and medium because you want to kind of cook this slowly. Whenever you have cornstarch or flour in a recipe like this, you want to actually cook whatever it is you're making for a number of minutes so that there's no raw flour or cornstarch flavor. Then I just stir, 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 keep stirring. It'll start to bubble gently. And then it'll start to kind of, look like a wave building in the ocean. It'll bubble and look a little menacing and probably take between 5 and 8 minutes. And stir this mixture. When you pull your spoon out of the mixture, run your finger along it. It should coat the back of the spoon really thoroughly. When that happens, remove the pan from the heat or just shut the heat off and leave it on the stove. And you're going to whisk in 3 1/2 ounces of chopped semi-sweet chocolate, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1 1/2 teaspoons of rum, dark rum, and 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now, if you're serving this to kids, you'll know that alcohol never fully cooks out of a recipe. So you can omit the rum and just add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. If it's for adults, you can bump up the rum. Or you can be like my mom in the 70s and give me, as a child, the pudding with the rum in it. This is parents' choice. But you simply stir in those ingredients, the butter, the rum, the chocolate, the smell. I used to get a little stool and stand next to my mom while she would stir this. And the smell of the chocolate mixing with the rum and the vanilla is, honestly, it's just unbelievable. So my mom, I would eat a bowl of this hot. I know people don't eat hot pudding. I would eat a bowl of this straight out of the double boiler. And then she would take the rest and cover it with a layer of plastic wrap, right on top of the pudding so it couldn't form a skin, and then put it in the fridge and cool it. And we would eat it with unsweetened whipped cream, which was just so basic and so good. I'm going to bring back pudding and make it chic again. I'm going to make farm-to-table pudding. The other thing she would do with this occasionally is bake layers of a vanilla cake. And when they were completely cool, she would put this chocolate pudding in the layers and then just pour, kind of like a melted chocolate over the whole cake. So it was like a dark chocolate pudding cake that was so good. So again, my mouth is watering. So again, either hot out of the pan like a savage with your large tablespoon. I wouldn't use a dainty teaspoon, or as a layer in a layer cake, or just a bowl of it cool with whipped cream. Just one of my great simple things that I love.
Find more on Alex Guarnaschelli at alexguarnaschelli.com. That's AlexGuarnaschelli.com. This episode was produced by myself, along with Ian Cohen and Joel Yeaton. You can find me and keep up to date with this podcast across all social media platforms at On Cappy's Plate, or go to BeyondThePlatePodcast.com. Please rate, review, and or subscribe to this podcast on your listening site of choice. Thank you for listening to Just a Plate, a production of Beyond the Plate. I'm Cappy.